Ladies and gentlemen, I think Donald Trump is using phony, fake informants to lure the Keystone Cops of morally superior, highly educated, almost always apoplectic government officials after him at all times. So you might say, well, what are you talking about? What does that mean, using informants that aren't really informants? Well, let's say double agents, because you have these really hilarious, amusing stories. Trump workers moved Mar-a-Lago boxes a day before the Federal Bureau of Investigation came for the documents. The Federal Bureau of Investigation already gave him a thank you letter signed by one of the agents. This is a letter, I believe it was like a thank you letter, according to the Washington Post. They had already looked at the room where all these boxes were stored, and they said to him that you better just put another padlock. That was the extent of the criminality. He had every right to declassify documents. He is a president with the power to classify and declassify anything at will, even verbally, according to Politico. He didn't have private servers siphoning top-secret intel outside of the United States government, and he didn't obliterate servers and cell phones after Congress demanded them, or delete all the information within hardware, computer hardware. These are boxes. They are making this like James Bond Watergate fiasco over boxes. So in New York, they desperately tried to get him, and they eventually did. He somehow committed a criminal act by paying Stormy, even though he was the victim of extortion, Trump. And so that was somehow a crime, even though the FEC didn't fine him. So I don't know how they find the federal crime there, which is needed to elevate the misdemeanors in New York. So there are only misdemeanors that he's committed. They're elevated to felonies or criminal statutes because of a federal crime that doesn't even exist. The FEC fined Clinton for purchasing the Steele dossier, not Trump, and the DNC. But anyway, this is an article today. Trump workers moved Mar-a-Lago boxes. And then it says, according to people familiar with the matter. Who are these people? They have to be working for President Trump, former President Trump. I'm choosing Trump, obviously, a year from now. It's right around the corner. About a year and a half from now. Obviously. Okay, I did 2 years ago. We had record low poverty with Trump. We had record highs in household median income. I will continue repeating myself. Nobody talks about this. Even Trump doesn't talk about this. We had 2% inflation. And when you have record low poverty and record low unemployment, real wages are up. What's the problem? The opposite is true now. Poverty has increased. There's homeless people in every major city in this country. And Democrats, morally superior among us, they just apparently don't care. They also don't care about a never-ending military conflict in Europe. And so it's like, this is all under their watch, but let's continue. If you read the Washington Post article, it says, 2 of Donald Trump's employees moved boxes of papers the day before a Federal Bureau of Investigation agents and prosecutors visited the former president's Florida home. So they couldn't have just been actual boxes of papers. They had to have been perhaps nefarious, the classified data that Trump was hiding, even though he could declassify all the information as a president. So timing that investigators have come to view as suspicious and an indication of a possible obstruction, according to people familiar with the matter. According to people familiar with the matter. Where are the people familiar with the matter regarding Hunter's laptop? Does the Washington Post or New York Times have anyone according to people familiar with the matter when it comes to the Bidens? Is there any former or current U.S. official that will speak on condition of anonymity against the Clintons? It will never happen. This is why reporting in the United States is no longer alive. It's the funeral for actual journalism took place in 2016. When Donald Trump won, it was just, that's it. You know, everything has to be Trump, Trump, Trump. He's a menace. And all the criminality within the Democratic Party, well, you know what? There are certainly no former, current, and U.S. officials. There are certainly no, according to people familiar with the matter, most articles, if you make a claim, it's absolute categorical proof. And look what they did to Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger and the Twitter Files journalists, they tried to eviscerate. And they're actually out there. They're not saying, according to people familiar with the matter, they're like, oh yeah, here, 200,000+ conservative accounts were silenced. Gee, isn't that interesting? The Democratic Party working directly to silence accounts within Twitter. That's exactly what the Twitter Files showed. Not, oh, well, you know, it's just protocol and happening. The guidelines happen to coincide with everything Democrats want and everything Republicans don't want and Trump doesn't want. Gee, it was just a coincidence, though. There was no foul play at all. It's interesting. Everything happens to always work out for the Democratic Party. And then they just happen to always just drop investigations into the Clintons or Hunter. And then they always just, like surveil Trump. It's just, you can't prove anything with them. The political establishment is obviously leveled against Trump. But anyway, I can go on forever. So Trump and his aides also allegedly carried out a dress rehearsal for moving sensitive papers even before his office received the May 2020 demand from Congress, according to people familiar with the matter. According to people familiar with the matter who spoke on condition of anonymity to describe the sensitive ongoing investigation. This, and then they say democracy perishes in darkness. This is not democracy. Hit subscribe to this channel right now, ladies and gentlemen. Go to hagoodman.com to read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, The Federalist, other publications. Do you understand how hilarious this is? And do you understand how Trump almost certainly is having his say? He almost certainly has people serving as sources for the Washington Post or sources to just kind of manipulate the investigations around him because he didn't do anything criminal. Trump never did anything criminal. We know this because they're so desperate to find a crime. You can spend a half an hour with both Clintons and Hunter and Joe. 10 minutes, you could list all these felonies. But with Trump, we're investigating. It's an investigation. This is from the Washington Post. Democracy perishes in darkness. Okay, and you're going to tell me that Trump doesn't have informants that serve as sources for the Washington Post or the special counsel? Almost certainly. I don't have any inside knowledge, obviously. I can't say with certainty. But I'm high to moderate confidence assessment, just like what they did with Trump. So, this is Trump and his aides also allegedly carried out a dress rehearsal for moving sensitive papers. According to people familiar with the matter who spoke on condition of anonymity to describe a sensitive ongoing investigation. It's a sensitive ongoing investigation. Does it help anyone in the country? No, it doesn't. It's sensitive, though. Does it only help the Democratic Party and help nobody else? Yes, but it's sensitive ongoing. This is amazing. Oh, my goodness. This is real politics and, mystery. And Trump is such a criminal and villain. So, basically, they have nothing on Trump, and they're getting information almost certainly from phony or fake sources that they might actually have actual legitimate sources, quote unquote, that are being fed lies or deceptive statements by informants working for Trump. Either way, they have nothing on Trump. Now they're trying to get him for obstruction because they couldn't get him on classified data. They won't even get him on obstruction, which is hilarious also. He didn't even do anything. Clinton actually siphoned classified data and top secret intel onto servers. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel.